Hello again. This is rather an etymological diversion rather than anything to do with history. Somebody commented on this channel recently mentioning the word trash and suggesting that it had an American origin, that it was an Americanism. I pointed out that it features in Shakespeare, in Othello. He steals my purse, steals trash. I was just thinking about one or two other words that we take for granted as being Americanisms when in fact they are thoroughly English. Some of them have only become American usage in recent years, and we tend to forget this. I'm thinking of, to begin with, fall, the season fall rather than autumn. Everybody in Britain assumes that fall is an Americanism. It's not. The names of the seasons in Britain were only fixed round about the 16th or 17th century. So spring at one time was known as Lent because of the religious season. Autumn was more commonly known as harvest. It only became called autumn towards the 16th century, and at the same time it was known as fall. So those two names for the season coexisted in the 17th century, 16th, 17th century quite comfortably, and gradually fall fell out of favour, but emigrants to the New World took the words with them, and for some reason they preferred to stick with fall. They didn't switch over to autumn. This is a fairly recent thing because I'm thinking now of Henry Fowler, the lexicographer. I'm a great fan of his. Up here we've got Fowler's Modern English Usage. This is the 1926 edition. My father was a great believer in the 1909 edition, which he regarded as absolutely authoritative. But I think you have to move with the times. And for me, Modern English Usage means anything from Fowler's 1926 edition. What Fowler says about fall is very interesting. He says here, hold up, fall is better on the merits than autumn in every way. It is short, Saxon, unlike the other three seasons names, picturesque. It reveals its derivation to everyone who uses it, not to the scholar only, like autumn. So what Fowler was saying there, and as I say, this is 1926, he was saying that fall is better than autumn because it's a plain English word. So next time somebody assumes that fall is a ghastly Americanism, you can set them right. Another word that I was thinking of lately, and that's mugging. I remember in the 1960s first hearing the expression mugging, and I knew then, or I thought I knew, that it was just a plain Americanism. No one had heard of mugging in Britain before the 1960s, or so I assumed, until I began to do some research on street crime. I wrote a book about it, Bombers, Rioters and Police Killers. This is about crime in the Victorian era. And I came across a court case. There was a spate in the 1850s and 1860s of what was known as garrotting, which consisted of two muggers. One would grab someone round the throat and half choke him. While that was being done, the other one would go through his pockets, and that was known as garrotting. And I found a case, a garrotting case, that appeared at the Old Bailey on the 24th of November 1862, when George Roberts and Samuel Anderson were charged with robbery from the person. What's curious, okay, the policeman that arrested him was called Sergeant William Good, and he arrested Roberts for the theft of a watch. He said to Sergeant Good as he was being arrested, "You want me for putting the mug on, do you? I'll put the bloody mug on you." And then there was a fight before he was arrested. In the witness box, Sergeant Good helpfully explained that mug is slang used by thieves. It means garrotting. So far from being an Americanism, mugging is actually an English expression dating as far back as the 1850s and 1860s. It found its way across the Atlantic at some time in the 19th century, but it's not an American expression at all. Anyway, this has been very short and brief, and it's a purely personal hobby horse, the derivation of words and expressions, and that's it for today.